Welcome to the Pod in Your Basement podcast, featuring Ben DeLessio and Joe Garza. They're alive, they're hungry, and they're opinionated.
Yeah.
Hello there, my friend.
How's it going, man? It's cracking.
I'm doing well, and I'm happy to be here on episode. I've actually no idea. 13?
14.
Ah, damn. All right.
Ah.
That way, what was the bit on Reckless Muse where was I always an episode behind?
Yeah.
So I guess I just continued with that. I did not mean to. I actually really did try to guess it.
Well, I highly recommend that our
Living in
listeners
the
go
past.
check out the past 170 episodes of the Reckless Muse to catch that little running gag.
How many episodes did we have?
I think it was over 150-ish.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So today we are going back in time
On this podcast, which is called The Pod in Your Basement.
That's right. Yeah. So for this one, we are taking a look at historical events, people, things that would we think would be a great basis for a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Benjamin, I know you're a history boy, and typically I'm not,
That I am.
but I thought, but this actually ended up being kind of a fun one. I was like, you know what actually inspired this? There's a podcast / YouTube show called The Y Files. Are you familiar with that?
No. The Y, like WHY, or
yeah.
Cool.
It's cool. It's this guy, and he looks at like unexplained events, conspiracy theories. He does it more from like a more entertainment perspective and not from they're turning the frogs gay perspective. But he looks at but he looks at a lot of sort of mysterious unsolved things. And so he did an episode on a few historical things. Like, oh man, sometimes history can be kind of brutal. I think there's
history rules. History is the bet. And obviously this could be my first one. So I'll just get into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
But are you? You're a big classical music guy. You don't kind of ever wade into the historical part of that too?
A little bit. So most of my history is, or at least most of my knowledge of history is in relation to classical music, because I'd be like, oh, that's right, that's when Mozart was around, which is why Emperor Joseph II, blah 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 blah. So that's that's all in relation to that. But I'm cool with history. We get along with history. It's all right.
All right then.
But so you gotta you hankering for some historian.
Well, yeah. So my first one. So I'm a big. I think that's an understatement, but I'm an aficionado, a connoisseur, a buff, if you will, of the Byzantine Empire. It's kind of my thing. Also known as the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Late Roman Empire. This was the empire that I think is one of the most neglected entities in history, which is so fascinating. It's basically from around the 330s, or I guess when it was Constantinople was established in the early 4th century until 1453. I'm a big guy of 476 and on, because that's when the West, quote unquote, fell. But it's
you're a fan of years.
Yeah, I do like years. Late antiquity would be the period I'm in right now. I'm going to kind of go forward, but because I'm working on a project, a big series. So it's kind of like the late 5th to late 6th, early 7th century. But right now, specifically late 5th. This is in, what's modern day Turkey and Greece and the Levant. Parts of Italy, the Balkans, that whole area, Egypt. So anyway, I just love it. I love all the aspects of it. So of course, I'm also a big horror guy. So where can horror come into the Byzantine Empire. And there's actually like several, I think several settings that would be really good. The first, of course, so everyone sort of knows about the Black Death, which was 1349, which the Byzantine Empire is still around. Then it was much smaller, still around. And it obviously hit there, like it hit everywhere in literally basically the world, all China through to England, down Africa, like all over. But the lesser known plague was called the Justinianic plague, or the plague of Justinian, which kind of sucks. But Justinian was kind of like Trump in a way, where he put his name on everything. So just kind of like stuck. And that was a plague in 537, around that time. So that era, so like well before the Black Death, and this was a brutal plague. This was like really, really bad. And I think that alone, just the horror, like I read accounts of people, basically like seeing demons and seeing and this was a time where, people thought literally Constantinople, which is modern day Istanbul, by the way. I call it Constantinople for political reasons. Constantinople was this was this massive city, the biggest city in Europe, and it was horrifying what was going on there. It was densely populated, and people thought, this was a time where people thought the Virgin Mary literally protected the city. Like they would carry around the icon when it was under siege, which I'll get into, and saints and demons, and these things were like real parts of people's lives, like it's called like intercessions of holy figures and divine intervention, and this stuff was like very much believed. And I may believe some of that to this day, but at a different scope, right? Different scale. And I just think that's such a great setting for a horror movie. These are one of those plagues where you have to kind of try and take yourself out of the modern era, right? And put yourself in the middle of the 6th century. So think of the technology that's around. Think of, this is a time of great upheaval. Justinian is this really controversial figure. He has there are these huge wars going on of conquest to reconquer parts of the West, and he does tons of Italy and North Africa and into Spain. He doesn't get up into France, but like a lot of the old Western part of the Roman Empire. But he's also super controversial. He's extremely religious, and some of that, and he's really he's super progressive in some ways for the time with women's rights, but then he's extremely brutal against gay people. So it's you can't graft him onto a modern person so much. Right. I mean, like I said, Trump, because he did kind of name cities all over the place, but this wasn't the point I'm trying to make. Is this wasn't the era of just some emperor, right? And there's many of those, just like we have presidents that no one can name in the 19th century. Tons of presidents. It's not just one of those emperors. This is probably, I would say, the only Byzantine emperor who an average American can name, right? Or would even have it's Justin, because the Justinianic Code is the civil law code that's still the basis that's used today. I learned a little bit of that going to law school in Louisiana. They use the civil code there. So I say all this to say that he's this titanic figure. There's this horrific plague. It's you could see how people would think this is divine punishment. Yeah. What is people are seeing demons, and there's entire families are being wiped out, just like the Black Death. It moves very quickly. So I think that alone is easy kind of soil for a horror movie. So that's a simple one. Okay. I'll just be quick with the Byzantine Empire ones, and then we'll go to you. Yeah. One of them I'm kind of cheating because there's actually a book about this. I listened to a podcast. It came out 2013. It's called Byzantium and Zombies or something. and what I like about it is that Constantinople, if you don't know, those listening don't know, it's an impenetrable fortress. There are these walls called the Theodosian walls that repel every single invader until Mehmed II, of course, the Ottoman Sultan, because basically the technology catches up to him and he gets this big ass cannon. And then I'm not going to talk about the Crusaders sack it at 1.2 and control it for like 60 years, but that's something else. And that they didn't like breach it in a normal siege. That was different. So anyway, so why this makes a good zombie movie is because it's very simple. It's the city defending itself against zombies trying to get in,
right?
Which may and like you could see just like the horror, and there can be, during this time there's many sieges. I think in the book, his name's Munger, I believe is his last name, and I think it's the siege of 717, which was an Arab siege on, and also think of it this way: like you have zombies, and the Byzantines have something called Greek fire. Have you seen Game of Thrones? Do you know?
No.
Well, in Game of Thrones, there's something called wildfire, and it's this like kind of super weapon type thing. That's based off of Greek fire, which was this super secret formula of fire. Dude, this thing, I've heard it described as a flamethrower shooting napalm.
Whoa.
Like it would like burn on water. Like it would stick to chips and burn on water. Like this thing is insane. So imagine there's like Byzantine soldiers, and I'm calling them Byzantine. They never call them. They're Romans. Like they're Roman soldiers with flamethrowers on the Theodosian walls, just dousing zombies in Greek fire. Like to me, that is so. And I haven't read this book. I plan to at some point. I think it's kind of hard to get. I just looked on Amazon. It's like $90. I'm not paying that for some zombie novel, but I'll find it. But I think that would just make an awesome. Just simple zombies trying to get into Constantinople, and the people and the soldiers have to repel them. I think that'd be sick.
So that flamethrower thing, that was actually real. That was a real type of weapon that they had back then.
Yeah, dude. They used this famously in this assault on Constantinople from the Arabs in 717. It was like it's this super weapon. You look it up, Greek fire. I posted on Instagram where it's like someone did a meme where it's like there's nothing burns hotter than young love, and it's like, nope, Greek fire. Young love has nothing on the Eastern Roman Navy. It's like you should look it up. It is so badass, and it was like this formula created by some like mad scientist that then they used as a secret weapon for part of the reason that their empire shrunk and was defeated, they lost it. Like they lost the formula, and over time it just lost to time, which is kind of crazy to imagine. But it was this super weapon in the Middle Ages.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, I'll buy that. I'll watch that movie. Those movies.
Yeah, I think that'd be sick. I thought I had a third one, but I forgot. So I have other stuff too. I forgot for the Byzantine stuff.
Okay. For me, this is based around a specific object. Have you heard of the Codex Gigas? And I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. The Codex Gigas. You familiar with that?
I don't think so.
So it's Czech for giant book, and it is the largest medieval illuminated manuscript in the world.
Ooh.
So it was created in the
Gigas, like big. Okay, I got it.
Yeah,
I got it.
And this is a massive Bible that was created in the 13th century in the Benedictine monastery of, and again, I'm sure I'm fucking this up. My apologies. Sure. Podlasice in Krast, Bohemia.
Oh, dude, the Czech word, like I've been to Czechia, like that part of the world, those languages, just don't even bother.
Yeah.
Like the Slavic just is the most messed up languages.
Yeah. So this book, first off, it's huge. It's fucking, it weighs 165 pounds. It's a massive Bible.
It's like the Page Master.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it has all of these very elaborate illustrations. So, these were, fairly common in that time, in that period. But what makes this book so interesting is that it's nicknamed the Devil's Bible. So here's the legend behind it. According to one version of a legend already recorded in the Middle Ages, and this is from Wikipedia, the scribe was a Christian monk who broke his monastic vows and was sentenced to be walled up alive. To escape death, he promised to create in one night a book to glorify the monastery forever, including all human knowledge. Near midnight, he became so desperate that he prayed to Lucifer to help him finish the book in exchange for his soul. The devil completed the manuscript, and the monk added the devil's picture as a tribute. It has been verified by extensive handwriting analysis that it was written by one monk, but it is estimated to have been completed over the span of 20 to 30 years. Yeah, it's so when you look at it, like, this is one of the things that does make the book unique for its time, which is like it does have this massive, like halfway through the book, it's just a massive depiction of the devil.
Yeah.
And that legend is so fucking cool of just like the devil just like putting in like his signature, like, hey, I wrote this. Also, what's interesting about this book is that it has the Bible, but it also has like some medical Bible stuff in the back, some occult like demonology stuff. Yeah, it's a pretty wild book. And by the way, the book is still around. You could still, it's in Stockholm, Sweden, I believe. The National Library of Sweden, Stockholm, where it is on display for the general public.
Oh, it was taken by the Empire in the 30 Years War. That was a fucking brutal war.
Yeah,
that's true.
But yeah, what a badass legend, though. I mean,
how'd you find this?
This was covered in the Y files.
Oh shit! Here it is.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so gnarly.
Yeah, isn't that wild? That picture of Satan.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I can see how that legend became about, where it's like, you know, this was obviously written by one person. It was not written by one person in one night.
No.
But you know, it's easy to see how that legend would spread.
Yeah.
So
anyway, what would the movie be?
It would be I mean,
you're saying like the movie would be that story.
The legend. Yeah.
I got you. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Because it's a real Bible, and you know, it does have some curious elements to it that make it unique compared to other Bibles from that era.
In the movie, yeah, he would like that would all be real.
Yeah.
The devil, yeah. This reminds me of I think we talked about it on the Reckless Muse, but I definitely sent you when I was on my honeymoon. We went to Pisa, and everyone goes to Pisa, of course, for Leaning Tower. It's very cool, and the baptistry. But there's this this is like right up my alley. There's this I forget what to call it, but it's kind of like a graveyard, but it's like a courtyard type thing. So it's like surrounded by walls, and who's buried there? A lot of like crusaders who the legend is the soil was brought back from Jerusalem, like the Holy Land, and then they're buried in the soil in Italy. And to me, it's very cool. But then on the walls, there are these frescoes, and there are, I mean, when people talk about like the stereotypes of the Middle Ages in art, like this is it. It's like angels battling demons in the sky, a giant, like, and again, this is not a book. This is like on the wall, and it's gigantic of like a giant demon eating people, and like, I don't know if it's birthing or defecating people, but like, I mean, I sent you, I know that we talked about it. I don't remember if we were recording or not, but it is so gnarly, like that. Just like like we think sometimes, I mean, if you look at like Hieronymus Bosch paintings too, I know it's a little later, but like we think that now, and we are like, modern people can be really disturbing with, and especially with some art, but like it was going on back then too. It was just kind of coming from a different place, because this stuff, like, again, I just kind of try and like put yourself, like, I'm someone who literally has a horror podcast now. I didn't, you know, when I went on my honeymoon a couple of years ago, but so like I've seen a lot of stuff, right? And I've read a lot of, I just read The Exorcist, like, and I like that kind of stuff. Yeah. Imagine just like being some medieval peasant, and then you go and you see this on the wall. It would like just blow your mind. Yeah. Yeah. Because like, you know, especially then they took a much more literalistic view of the Bible and what would await you if you sinned against God. I mean, that wasn't art. That was like a warning. Exactly. that was a public service announcement. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's the Codex Gigas. I mean, the devil is real, but that's a different story. Right. Is that it for that? Yeah, and actually, I want to do one more because it's actually related to the Codex Gigas. Hit me with it. So this is a location. This is again, it's in Czech, so I'm sure I'm fucking it up, but it's this is Huska Castle. Okay, I actually think I know that.
Is an early Gothic castle in the municipality of Blatsky in the Liberec region of the Czech Republic. It is about 29 miles north of Prague. It is one of the most preserved castles of the period. Some notable figures of the castle include a predominantly Gothic chapel, a green chamber with late Gothic paintings, and a knight's drawing room. From the outside, it looks like a pretty, average castle from, around the 13th century. However, it does have some interesting legendary around it. According to one source, there were multiple myths about their supposed occult involvements there. Another source states that locals believe that the Nazis had been using the powers of hell for their experiments. The castle has been open to the public since 1999. Castles may visit the chapel with fading frescoes and murals, including pictures of demon-like figures and animal-like beings. Huska Castle, and this is the part that's really cool. Huska Castle, and most specifically the chapel, was constructed over a large hole in the ground that is supposed to be a gateway to hell, which is allegedly so deep that no one can see the bottom of it. Animal-human hybrids were reported to have crawled out of it, and dark-winged, otherworldly creatures flew in its vicinity. Legend has it that when construction began in the castle, all of the prisoners that were sentenced to death were offered a pardon if they were consented to be lowered by rope into the hole and report back on what they saw. That's fucked up.
That rules. You just hear, oh, I'll go down and
When the first person was lowered, he began screaming after a few seconds. There you go. and when he was pulled back to the surface, he looked as if he had aged 30 years. He had grown wrinkles and his hair had turned white. According to the Prague tourism website, the castle is reputed to have various types of ghosts: a bullfrog human creature, a headless horse, and an old woman, as well as the remains of demonic beasts who escaped the pit.
Like, it's just an old woman.
Exactly.
like nothing's wrong with her. She's an old woman.
Exactly. Just a nurse from 400 years ago.
Just get out of here.
The pit in the lower levels of the castle is said to be a gateway to hell. Thus, by constructing the Gothics building defensive walls facing inward, they were able to keep the demons trapped in the lower levels of the thickest walls closer to the hole of the castle. So they did cover that hole up eventually. But yeah, apparently so this part of the legend is true. So there Nazis did take over the castle, but that's about the extent of how true it is. But yeah, there were rumors and legends that they were, using, I mean, Hitler and the Nazis, they were into the occult. They were, kind of doing the
and it's kind of like, it's like, did you need to? You're already so evil. Did you need to also be into the occult?
Yeah. Did you have to invade a castle that was a gateway to hell? Like
this just kind of feels like overkill.
Yeah, exactly. Is are we the baddies?
Yeah.
But yeah, Huska Castle. You can visit it. But the hole is covered up.
I want to add, just because I guess we're having an episode on Czechia, which I call it's when I was there, it's called the Czech Republic, but they changed it, and I actually prefer the new name Czechia because it's like every other country in the region. So I have been there, and of course I did Prague and some other places, but one awesome, and I mean that in the kind of more like literal way, is it's a city called Český Krumlov, and no, sorry, I've been. That's like a quaint little town, not Český Krumlov. It's called Kutná Hora, I believe, and what it's famous for is it's called the Bone Church, and I mean, you go Google this now while I'm talking about it, so you can see this place. So it's like a bone church, Czechia or Prague, I'm sure it'll come up. It's like an hour.
Sedlec ossuary.
Yeah, an ossuary, right? It's like a bone. Place.
Oh,
it's dude, and this is like not just stacks of bones, it's art. Like they have chandeliers of bones, and it's crazy. And like I've said, I've seen a lot of, like, I'm a horror movie guy, horror books, and I still get scared and feel things. Like, I think it's part of the fun. I'm not kidding. Like, I walked in there and it like got to me. Like, it was not like I felt something. I felt a presence. I felt like it was unlike anything else. And it's hard to explain, but I talked about this before. And you walk around and they're just like, it feels like something, again, it's something to be in a movie.
Yeah.
And it's not only real life. It's not like, that's not some avant-garde, you know, put together exhibition. That was made by like monks.
Yeah.
Because they ran out of space and they just were like, all right, we're just gonna stack and build stuff with these bones.
Yeah, this is amazing. This and all of like the chandeliers and the decor is incredibly intricate.
Yeah,
like this, like it's, I mean, it's gorgeous in a really morbid way. There's also this weird, like, in one of these photos here, there's like this weird juxtaposition of like just bones decorating. Like, I mean, it's like they have like like crown molding made out of bones, and like, and then there's also like little like cherub statues, like these cute little angel statues among it, surrounded by all these bones and shit. This is wild.
So like, so I brought this up because we were talking about this country, and it's like this. I'm shocked that this hasn't appeared in more movies. I can recall. And maybe they can't. Maybe they don't let you.
Right.
But I mean, it is. Wow, it's actually like more intricate than I remember. It has like crosses and coats of arms. Like these are all real human bones.
Yeah. Love death.
Insane. So anyway, all right. Should I show?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, so this is sort of already been made. So back there on that bookshelf, which actually no one can see, but there's a bookshelf behind me. There's a book called Empire of the Summer Moon. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's about the Comanche in Texas. Like they were like natives in Texas, and I know like this was a big Joe Rogan book years ago. Like he really liked this book, and I read it. It's incredible, and it's, you know, that era, I guess, was the 19th century, early 19th century, maybe middle, whenever Texas became a thing, and white people started going there, and like the Comanche were like, and it's funny because it's a nice segue because we were talking about like the Middle Ages a lot. I mean, they did things. I think people have this, maybe a certain type of person in this country has this idea that like all the natives were kind of like canoeing and building huts and teepees and longhouses and just kind of hanging out and
peacefully.
And birds would like twitter on their shoulder, and sometimes they'd catch a deer and they'd use every part of the body and yada yada, right? Well, no.
And it's not like they ever took land from others.
Well, that's what I'm going to get into. So, so first of all, they had confederations and wars all the time.
Yeah.
They were very similar to Europe in that sense. And again, I'm not saying none of that was true. There were like more peaceful tribes, and unfortunately, they would also get destroyed sometimes.
Yep.
So the Comanche were not that. The Comanche were like the Mongols of this era in this part of the country. They did things to people that both white people and other natives, like the Apache, for instance, which I feel like are a much more recognizable tribe in America. Like we have Apache helicopters, for instance.
Yeah.
Hells yeah. Like they hated the Comanche. Like they teamed up with the whites to fight the Comanche because Comanche, like they did things to people that would chill like medieval executioners. Like really disturbing, horrific things not that long ago. Like well after the concept of, I think, human rights were being established, like after the Enlightenment, which again, I'm a big Middle Ages defender. I'm going to do a quick detour here. A lot of the most horrible stuff people think of when they're thinking of the Middle Ages is actually the early modern age. And like the Inquisition, all that was not the Middle Ages. That was the early modern age. So anyway, so I say all this to say that I'm kind of cheating here because I think Bone Tomahawk would sort of fall into. Have you seen Bone Tomahawk?
No, but I heard it's good. That's the one with Kurt Russell, right? It's
really good movie. But it's I would say it's more of an action movie with extremely disturbing violence.
Yeah.
With natives, I don't know if it's a specific tribe, but even like there are other natives in that movie who are like, no, those people are disturbing. Like, don't mess with them.
Right.
Like, they're horrific to their women. They're horrific to like. So I think just like a more horror centric side of that, which again would never get made today because it would be looked at as like anti-indigenous, but you could easily just have like normal indigenous people who are not evil also fighting them, like, but still with today's sensibilities. But like the Comanche, you read and this is an accurate account. This is all, this isn't ancient. This is not old. And actually one of the leaders on the cover, why he was so popular is because he was actually half white. So he has different features that were more appealing to the white pop. So it was like, oh, he's like exotic and this like stud. And he had 20 wives and he, and all this shit. But I actually don't know if that's true. But he, like these people were disturbing, like really violent. I think an aside of history that I don't think a lot of liberal Americans don't want to acknowledge.
Right.
That, yeah, sure, like you can like defend your land. And they were really, the Comanche didn't, if I remember correctly, they didn't really have like their whole horses were like their currency. Like horses were the most important thing to them, very similar to a lot of steppe tribes and the Mongols and that type of thing. But their warfare, and they were incredible soldiers. By the way, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
They were incredible soldiers. Like there's so many similarities with them and the steppe tribes because this is all like the hill country. I think around Austin and the plains, like that area of Texas. So I just think like a horror movie with like a combo of the Comanche and then like the kind of sick stuff that was going on in Bone Tomahawk, which I don't know if any of that was legit, but it did remind me of that.
Nice. There's I might have talked about this before, but it was a movie that was inspired by the Donner Party thing. It's called Ravenous. With Guy Pearce in the late 90s.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
It's a pretty good one, actually.
Yeah.
Most of it I don't think is particularly historically accurate, but I mean it takes place.
Donner Party is pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, cannibalism plays a big role of that. And
sure.
What's that legend? Not Sasquatch, but like the
Skinwalkers,
similar to Skinwalkers. It's a pretty famous one. But anyway,
the
Wendigo. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So that plays a big part in that movie.
There was a movie came out a few years ago about the Wendigo. It was
really?
It was okay. It had Carrie Russell.
Oh yeah,
she's good. She's good.
She is. All right, my turn. I think I talked about this in some form over at the Reckless Musecast, but I want to bring this one up just because it's such a fascinating. And also the way I stumbled upon it is interesting. So I had this nightmare years ago. It was set in like 1600s, 1700s New England, and
what?
Yeah, I don't know why. I was just hanging out there, and it was very Tim Burton. He's very sort of like very gothic-y.
Like Lovecraftian, or is he a little later? He's like later.
Yeah. No, Lovecraft was later. But like this very stylized gothic-y looking version of New England. And I just remember like just being chased by vampires at night. And I woke up, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like New England vampires. Okay, that's interesting. Because like when we think of New England like horror stories, we think of like the Salem witch trials. And then just for the hell of it, I typed in New England vampires, and turns out there actually was a New England vampire scare in the late 1800s. Is called the Mercy Brown vampire incident. So Mercy Brown was a teenage girl who died. She wasted away, like her skin became very, very pale. She was very weak, and then she died. And then they buried her corpse. And then her younger brother started showing the same symptoms. So the most obvious conclusion is, oh, she must be a vampire. She's feeding on her young brother.
Naturally.
So they dig up her corpse. And her corpse was perfectly preserved, and this is months after she died. Her corpse had looked, it was still very preserved. There were some reports that there was even some blood coming out of her mouth. Some locals even said that they saw like, you know, her chest going up and down as if she was breathing. So they cut out her heart. They burned it, and then they took the ashes and they mixed some potion and shit, and they gave it to the younger brother because I guess that's how you cure somebody who was suffering from vampirism. And then he still died.
Oh,
that's not a very good cure.
That didn't cure him.
No. So what it was I mean, there's no way to confirm it, but what it most likely was tuberculosis.
Yeah, probably more prevalent than vampirism.
Yeah, but you know, today's doctors are still like, well, let's keep vampirism in the maybe pile.
Right.
But what's interesting about it though is because, you know, this is New England in the winter, so when they buried her, like she was like, you might as well just put her in a freezer.
Right.
So,
yeah, the ground's just I'm surprised they could even dig a grave, like even today.
Yeah,
it's tough to do that. That's actually a plot point in what is it, Manchester by the Sea, or one of those movies where like they can't bury someone in Massachusetts. It's too cold. Yeah.
I guess they were, I don't know if they were really eager about it, or maybe they buried her just before winter set in. But
right.
And the reports that, like, you know, there's blood coming out of her mouth. So you know, when you die, you know, there are all these chemicals and gases in your body that and I'm sure because of how well preserved her body was, I'm sure, like, you know, maybe some of those processes were still taking place inside of her body, even though she was still dead. But it's like, you know, gas is coming out of your body, so it's gonna, you know, it might have your stomach go up and down a little bit. You know, I don't know exactly. I'm not an expert on rigor mortis, but it could, you know, the exhalation of air and gas from your body could probably push blood through your lungs and up through your mouth. And also, you know, so there's this myth that, like, when you die, your hair and your fingernails still grow. That's not true. It's that the skin around your hair and nails actually recedes, so it looks like. But again, they didn't know that. So as far as they're concerned, it's like, oh yeah, like her hair is still growing, her fingernails are growing, she's still alive.
Yeah.
But yeah,
is that the because I am familiar with that. Is that the whole, like, when they would put bells on people?
I think so.
Yeah, that was a thing, and I thought that was like that same time, and they would put bells around people's necks in case they like buried them alive.
Right.
And I don't know if that's connected to vampires. It might be confusing two different things. But yeah.
So you know, of course, if this were to be made into a movie, it would not be tuberculosis, or as they like to call it back in the day, consumption.
The consumption. Got me a bit of the consumption.
I think consumption would be a good title for a vampire movie.
I thought that would actually be a great title for a vampire movie.
Yeah.
I thought consumption was just like a general term for just like, I always thought consumption was like just an alcoholic eating like shit, smoking. And it's like his body just like failing. I got me a bit of the consumption.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe I might be wrong. I always thought that's what it was. It's just like a general term for his like slowly dying from a mixture of things.
Huh. Maybe I don't know much about old timey terms like this.
Old timey doctor terms.
Exactly. Yeah. But what is interesting about this though is that, like, this still seems a little bit late for there to have been like, oh, it must be vampires, because this happened in January of 1892.
Right.
So this
yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Everyone always thinks it's like the Middle Ages, that is all of the what's what I'm looking for, superstitious and believing crazy things, but it goes on pretty late.
Yeah.
Did I lose you there? Did I cut out?
No, I heard you. But yeah, so this is part of a wider New England vampire panic that was taking place in the 18th and 19th centuries, apparently.
Also Vampire Panic, good name.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my new band name.
Yeah. So this was I'll read the text. This is a satirical paper from the Boston Daily Globe. I don't know exactly when this was, but it looks pretty old. It's a satirical advertisement. It says, "Believe in vampires, Rhode Islanders who are sure that they do exist. Instances told of where the living have been attacked and preyed upon by these representatives of an unseen world." So it did seem a little bit like this might have been sensationalized or at least kind of mocked by city folk. So
So I didn't have this on the list, but because again, I'm just like thinking like now you brought us to Czechia and I had an idea, and now you're bringing us to New England. I was gonna be like the Lizzie Borden axe murders.
Oh yeah. She grabbed a wax and gave her husband 40 whacks or whatever.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. There's that nursery rhyme or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they should make a movie. And I was like, oh well, there's actually several.
You can actually stay in that house too. You can stay right where she.
I was planning a trip with the earlier one.
Yeah.
Not my wife. To Massachusetts at some point, and that was going to be one of the stops.
Hell yeah.
But then I think COVID happened, if I remember correctly. But so Lizzie, there's one with Chloe Sevigny and Kristen Stewart. That's 2018. And there's one with Christina Ricci, which is 2014. So okay, there's actually plenty. We probably don't need a Lizzie Borden movie, but I would like to see these.
Yeah, there's also a really cool 80s heavy metal band called Lizzie Borden too. I do like the rhyme. I have it right here. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
Yeah.
Andrew Borden now is dead. Lizzie hit him on the head. Up in heaven he will sing. On the gallows she will swing. I like old timey.
She didn't swing. She got off.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy. She was like found not guilty. It's a really good podcast series. I think Last Podcast on the Left does one of her. Like, yeah, I believe she gets off, which is insane.
Yeah,
it's like the most obvious murder. I forget why, but anyway. All right,
I'm reading right here real quick. Despite the acquittal, Lizzie was ostracized by the Fall River Society. Poor thing. Not the Fall River Society. Her name was again brought into the public eye when she was accused of shoplifting in Providence, Rhode Island in 1897.
Oh, dang that bitch.
she just won't stop.
Yeah. She's a menace to society.
All right, brother. You got any more?
Yeah, I'll do one more.
Yeah.
And then I can touch on a couple others. So this one, I don't know exactly what it would be, but it's a mix of history and kind of I guess fantasy-ish. It'd be are you familiar with the book Arabian Nights?
Yeah.
So like very famous. Like a lot of our perceptions of the Middle East kind of come from Arabian Nights. And I just think Arabian Nightmares would be a sweet name for a movie, and it could be like genies like and granting wishes that are like evil. And just like all of that kind of like, I think it'd be really fun to do all the stereotypes of like sorcerers in the Middle East and guys with big scimitars and Scheherazade, you know that story, Scheherazade.
No.
I'm probably saying that. So Scheherazade, whatever her name is. She was I believe again, fact check me on this. She was a concubine for some sultan or something, right? Some guy, and this guy, for some reason, I think it was like he would sleep with a girl, like one of his concubines, and then have her decapitated after, because I guess he didn't want anyone else to have her, or they took virginity or whatever, something sick like that.
Yeah.
And to avoid this one girl, Scheherazade, she started telling him a story, and the night would come to an end, and he would say like, oh, okay, well, how's it end? She's like, well, like that, we have to wait to the next night. Okay, because he's hooked, like he's all right. And then the next night would come, and she would continue with the story, and she would do the same thing, like, and just tell the story on to like extend her life. And I can't remember. I think she survives,
Mm.
but anyway, like it's what she does, and I think to have that, like that itself is terrifying. Like you have
Yeah.
to continue to tell this interesting story, interesting enough to keep this homicidal maniac entertained. That could be like a story within these horror stories, right? Like she could be telling, that could be the plot device, right? Like Scheherazad's telling these horror stories to keep this probably more like suspense horror, to keep this sultan or whoever entertained. And
Yeah.
then we see that as the viewer, we see these, like I was just describing before, these horror stories with all these kind of Middle Eastern characters and flavor and all of that. And there's actually I'm into Magic the Gathering, and there's a card from the Arabian Nights set, which I think was like the second set, where it's like you play a mini game of Magic within the game of Magic, and then you can like keep doing that. And it's, I actually listened to a podcast with the creator of Magic. I think his name's Richard Garfield. I forget his first name is Garfield, and he's like, that's his like favorite card.
Yeah.
So I think that's I just think that'd be a cool kind of motif for a horror movie.
Yeah, that could be like an anthology, like a wraparound anthology.
Yeah, actually, yes, I think that would be a good
format,
anthology series.
Yeah.
Arabian Nightmares.
Yeah. Did you want to go? Did you have any more, or do you want me to take a stab?
Yeah, go for it.
So this is history that's a little more recent. This is a person, Jack Parsons. I just found out about this guy. I might have texted you about this guy, actually.
Parsons.
So Jack Parsons was he lived from 1914 to 1952. He was an American rocket engineer, a chemist, and a Thelemite occultist. He invented the first rocket engine to use a castable composite rocket propellant and pioneered the advancement of both liquid fuel and solid fuel rockets. He was born and raised in Pasadena, California. He began amateur rocket experiments with school friend Ed Foreman in 1928. He went to Stanford University, but left before graduating. So he's mostly like self-taught, but he was brilliant. And he the type of fuel that NASA uses was basically pioneered by him. So he was a very influential guy, and I believe he helped found, or like his work led to the development of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or I think he was like an early like member of that, which is highly influential. And this guy was also a big fan of Aleister Crowley. And so apparently Jack Parsons, he had this big house in Pasadena, not too far from here, and he would have like, you know, he would have like get-togethers with like artists and philosophers and a bunch of weird. So it's kind of like this beatnik type of thing, like this very artsy philosophical gathering. And then they would also have orgies. And
of course, yeah. Why? I mean, I expect nothing less.
They would have orgies, and apparently they were quite a nuisance in the neighborhood. There were a lot of calls about the noise,
slip and falls everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And so he had a lot of correspondence with Aleister Crowley, and Crowley even thought like, oh, like this guy, he's gonna be my protege. He's gonna help bring my ideas to the U.S. and he's gonna set up a chapter there for all of my bullshit ideas. Apparently, he also was associated with L. Ron Hubbard at the time. And here's the thing: he died in 1952 in a mysterious explosion at his house. Now, it could be easy to be like, okay, well, he was a brain scientist and he liked to do rocket experiments, on his own. But at the same time, it's like, he was being watched by the government, and just mysteriously die by an explosion, and for just kind of being like, okay, yeah, he died in an explosion, case closed, no big deal, nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, dude, look him up real quick because he looks pretty evil. Jack
Parsons.
Jack Parsons. He looks pretty maniacal, like a mad scientist.
Oh my god. Oh, this guy looks great. This guy was a rocket engineer,
rocket scientist, engineer, chemist, and an occultist.
He looks so like he looks like modern.
Yeah.
Right? There's something about his face that he doesn't look like someone from that era. He looks like someone dressed like someone from that era, like a
Yeah.
modern actor. Wow,
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
The sex cult antichrist who rocketed us to space. Part 1, Science History Institute. All right, I'm gonna look into this guy more.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy, and also just being an LA figure. It's like something about that just feels so LA, which is like, yeah, he was a brilliant guy, but he was also into like weird sex magic and shit. And he died mysteriously. Like,
Yeah, I don't really think of these kind of guys living in Pasadena.
yeah, and Pasadena is definitely more suburby. It's definitely a little more quaint compared to the rest of LA. But yeah,
It's beautiful.
This is definitely a guy who I would love to make a horror movie about.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
What about you, homeboy?
It's also I just want to point out for the
Mhm.
record that like when people talk about, yes, there were really bad things that happened during like the Satanic Panic and
Mhm.
during the Red Scare, right?
Mhm.
Like there were injustices. I think one of the most, I'm not like a big true crime guy,
Mhm.
which is probably not what you'd expect considering we have a horror podcast, but
Yeah.
I don't like true crime that's just like, this guy killed 40 prostitutes. Listen to this 8-part series on how he did it. Like, I don't give
Yeah.
a shit about that.
Yeah.
I'm into more of like the interesting stories and the touch more on culture and usually courtroom stuff. And like the West Memphis 3 is one of the most interesting to me. I know I'm promoting another podcast, but second time today, last podcast on Left did an incredible series on this. And this was like a true what's the term? Like, I guess injustice, but on these young boys who are extremely poor in Arkansas, who like to wear black and sometimes said dumb shit, but they were like teen boys and they were found guilty of horrific crimes that had very little evidence that they actually did it. So again, I'm not denying that those injustices happened and that people got caught up in these things. That being said, there were communists in LA and in Hollywood and who actually hated our country. And there were and are occultists and Satan worshipers. And some of them have high positions of power. And they're not just all like weirdos in your mom's basement. They are like rocket scientists who have mansions in Pasadena. So I just want to point that out there. That's like, I think now with like the Epstein files and everything have been in the news for like months at this point. Never seem to really stop. Like some of these people like they are monsters. Like they are, this isn't just like scares. These are like some evil people and they're not just always bumpkins or super religious or, these are like scientists and actors and hedge fund managers and that kind of stuff.
And which brings me, I want to do one more real quick, which brings me to another figure. This one's a little more recent. This guy died in 2019, but he was born in 1946, which feels kind of historical. So this guy is Michael Aquino or Aquino. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Okay.
But look him up real quick and look at his eyebrows.
Michael Aquino.
Yeah, Aquino. Yeah. Look at his fucking eyebrows.
Michael, wait, is he like a soldier?
Yeah, he was in the military.
Oh, what the why?
So he was a political scientist, a military officer, and a Satanist. He was a specialist in psychological warfare for military intelligence and an officer in the U.S. Army. And he was also like open Satanist. Like he was being interviewed and being featured on television and stuff. Like, yeah, he was a straight up Satanist.
Oh my God. How was he in our military?
Apparently they were fine with it. Apparently, like they knew about it. I mean, like, yeah. He was briefly kicked out of the military because there were child molestation allegations against him. And this is actually part of the Satanic Panic. There were allegations made against him in 1986 in San Francisco. Nothing came of these allegations. But then when that happened, then the military took him back. By this point, he had already been an open Satanist for decades. Apparently he specialized in psychological warfare for a long time. Of like, how can we trick the people in this third world country that Jesus came back. How can we use that against them? Apparently, like that, he did. I think he was part of he did hatch a plan to project Jesus, like using projectors and shit in Jesus in some South American country and use that to their advantage. It never, actually happened, but yeah, he's a manipulator. This guy.
This is so crazy to me.
Yeah. And he died not that long ago, just in 2019. But like, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm
what the hell?
I don't know how comfortable I feel about like a high-ranking military official being openly a Satanist and like the military just being cool with it. Like,
it's kind of like, how a lot of people in the world, not everyone, actually probably less, but hate America
yeah,
and think that we our military meddles and ruins other countries. Well, this isn't helping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your military leaders are Satanists and child molesters,
and it's like it's literal. Like, we literally have had a Satanist in our. I mean, I get freedom of religion, but
Satanism a little too far.
That's like the point. Oh my god, this is so crazy.
So I listened to a podcast about this guy, and apparently it wasn't like a literal belief in Satan. It was but it was just sort of like taking like this very contrarian view of life and morals, I guess. But it's still a weird thing to have openly, just admit openly while you're in the military.
Yeah.
So
it just seems counter. Like, it seems like contradictory that you're. Let's say, later rejected LaVey's, materialism, like that you would be a Satanist, but then also work for the U.S. government. But I guess, I don't know if the glove fits. Like, yeah. Wow, that's crazy. I want to look more into this guy also, because I did not know that.
Yeah, he's a wild dude.
Was he doing shit in Vietnam? Was he like?
I want to.
It seems like that era.
Following his commissioning in the army, Aquino served as a psychological warfare specialist and was deployed in the Vietnam War. He served with the Green Berets in the 1970s and early 1980s. He was a part-time NATO liaison officer in several European countries. It doesn't go much past that, though, in terms of like what he did specifically in the Vietnam War. But yeah, he was there for that.
That makes so much sense.
While off duty on one of these tours, he visited Wellsburg Castle, which was used by the SS and Heinrich Himmler, and performed a satanic ritual there.
What? What the fuck, man? This made me so uncomfortable. Like, yeah. Like, because this shit's real. Like, what? How? Who? I don't know. I guess then he would just say freedom of religion, and he would be right. Like, he would win that sort of case. Like, it would be discriminatory, I suppose. Like, but they're not certain. Are there not certain, like, I don't know, codes of conduct or something that you? I guess if he's not openly calling for violence or anything like that, right? It's
right.
Just anti-other stuff. All right. Okay. Yeah. I hate it. I hate it very much, but I guess that's America.
And he was a little too soft on the Nazis as well. The journalist Linda Goldstein.
Oh, really? Shocker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On top of all the other stuff, the journalist Linda Goldstein quoted him as saying, "I'm fascinated by the lessons to be learned from the Nazi experience, but not blinded by their excesses. And there was a small group of brutal and desperate men who governed a country through despotism and tyranny. They were quite brilliant in some respects, yet utterly savage in others."
Ergo, let's model ourselves after.
We can be nuanced when talking about Nazis. There's their side of the story as well.
Oh my god. Just think he would have done numbers on like edgelord Twitter.
Oh yeah,
and you know, he didn't die. He died in 2019, but I don't know how cognizant he was. But
And also his fucking like devil horn eyebrows. Like
that's crazy. But then again, did you see some of our, I mean, under the Biden administration, some of our military leaders? Well,
yeah. So that's it for me, I think. That's
yeah, I guess we can end on that.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm happy with this. So but yeah, these are all people who I've mentally cataloged being like, I'm gonna save this. If no one makes a movie about these guys, I might
write that script. I'll that because that's I think the guy who lives in Pasadena would be an interesting one. Parsons.
Jack Parsons. Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you, dear listener. We hope that we scared you and also educated you about history.
That's our goal here on your basement.
All right, buddy. Everybody, see you in the basement.
See you in the basement. See you in the basement. See you in the basement.